always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you're always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. And give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. I'll keep you satisfied. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you were always on my mind. 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 She says that's the one I love the most. The stop's not far behind. She never lets me in, only tells me where she's been when she's had too much to drink. I say that I don't care, I just run my hands through her dark hair. Then I pray to God you gotta help me fly away and just let her cry. If the tears fall down like rain, let her sing. If the heat is on her head, let her go. Let her walk right out on me. And if the sun comes up tomorrow, let her be. Let her be. phone, saying, maybe I'll be back someday. I wanted to look for you. You walked in, I didn't know just what I should do. So I sat back down and had a beer and felt sorry for myself, saying, let her cry. If the tears fall down like rain, let her sing. If it eases all her pain, let her go. Let her walk right out on me. And if the sun comes up tomorrow, let her ring. Last night I tried to leave, cried so much I could not believe she was the same girl I fell in love with long ago. She went in the back to get high. I sat down on my couch and cried, yelling, oh mama, please help me. Don't you hold my hand and let her cry. If the tears fall down like rain, let her sing. If it eases all her pain, let her go. Let her walk right out on me. And if the sun comes up tomorrow, let her ring. Let her cry. If the tears fall down like rain, let her sing. If it eases all her pain, let her go. Let her walk right out on me. And if the sun comes up tomorrow, let her ring. Oh, let her ring.
Hey, Star Mama, how you doing?
Hey, how are you doing?
Can you hear me okay?
It sounds kind of fast.
How does it sound right now?
Like it's going real fast.
That's
The music
weird.
sounded good. Now try to talk.
Okay, how does it sound now?
Now you're fine. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that's weird, huh?
Finally, huh?
I hope it keeps working. Uh-oh, Private Pirate says it sounds staticky.
It did, but it sounds okay now, I think. Unless you're talking about, they put it up there just a
Yep,
second ago.
but it sounds better.
Oh, she said better.
Hey,
They said better.
Deb. Hey, Deb is here. Cool.
Okay.
Mama Ann says, evening, queens.
Have queens.
So how you doing? How you been?
Doing okay. I'm just, back on the Met Forum and stuff, so it's an adjustment. You know, my iron count was off the charts.
Your what?
My iron count was so high, it was unreal.
And
Yeah.
did you say you're back on metformin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I went in, they tested my sugar and it was high. And then when they did the lab work, it had dropped down to 78 in like an hour. And that was fasting. So they couldn't figure it out. So she said, yeah, back on that. Plus I gained 6 pounds and she doesn't like that. So
did you call the man who worships the ground you walk on?
Yes.
Did you have a nice conversation?
Huh? So. Yeah. Yeah.
And did you check your sugar afterwards? Was your sugar good?
I didn't check it. He was complaining about everything.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Yeah. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's by himself, and his, he had a boy that committed suicide about 4 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
He has another son, actually 2 other sons, and they're just not really close. They're just not close knit. Got him from 2 marriages, and I don't know. They tell him he need to just go. He has MS, and they tell him he just need to go to a nursing home. I thought that was kind of fair,
Wow.
Because he can still get around a wheelchair and stuff, and he still takes care of himself. So,
Yeah, I bet your sugar didn't get any
no,
better
it didn't do too good.
listening to that.
No. Yeah.
That wasn't the goal. The goal was for him to like spend time listening to you and telling you how wonderful of a cook you are and everything, and then that way your sugar level could improve.
Right. Well, I'm going to be cooking 2 days next week. I've got
Good.
Monday and Wednesday. I'm going to be doing live. So, and one live is earlier than the other because I'm making those spaghetti and meatballs in a crock pot. It takes 6 to 8 hours for them to cook, but they are so good. It's just real low and slow, you know. And
Yep.
I'm going to do a peach cobbler, and I'm going to do have a special recipe for some chicken legs and little red potatoes. And then I'm going to do a cake that's over on my niece's channel that sub is sent that they wanted me to make. So, yeah.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, they had salmon on sale at the store this week, so I got 3 different things of it.
did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always trying to just buy it when it's on sale, and I buy it up then.
Mm-hmm. What kind of price did you get on it?
It was only $7.99 a pound.
Oh, I haven't seen it for that forever.
Yeah, that's why I got 3 good-sized chunks of it.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Yeah.
And
they
the
really
butcher was
push
so
the
fun.
salmon. The doctors push the salmon. Yeah.
Yep. Well, the butcher was a hoot too. He has actually watched me get back in shape, and
Mhm.
he's just like, "Girl, the salmon must be working." I'm like, he told me I'm looking good.
Oh, good. Well, see,
Yep. And I was dressed crappy, Paula.
but it makes you feel bad when somebody's noticed how much weight you lose and stuff that you're looking better.
Well, I'm just wearing they're not even leggings, they're like capris almost.
Mhm.
And then one of the long t-shirts
Yeah.
that's kind of like cut on the side, So I mean, I'm dressed totally crappy in the least expensive clothing I own. And he's like, "You're looking good." I'm thinking, whoa, I needed to hear that.
Well, you can't knock that.
Especially from a 40-year-old butcher.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. A very outgoing 40-year-old butcher.
Did you get a special price on your salmon?
No, I didn't. It was like 17 something.
Yeah.
For the 3 good sized pieces.
Yeah. But that's you. How many meals can you get? Do you fix one for each meal, or do you just fix?
Out of those 3 hunks, I'll get at least 4 meals and possibly 5.
Okay.
It depends, because sometimes I just love too much,
Mm-hmm. Well, if I get a pound of it between my grandson and me, I get about 5 ounces of it, and he gets the rest because he loves it. Yeah, he can eat it, and he loves that salmon. And he says, and it's healthy for you.
It tastes so good.
It is. It's good. I love
I
it.
love my salmon.
Mhm.
So did you watch the Alex Murdaugh trial?
I never watched the trial, but I had watched the documentary on it, and then I did watch when they come in and they read where the jury had found him guilty, and then when the judge sentenced him earlier. Yeah.
Don't you think it's interesting that they sentenced him so fast?
I don't know. I don't know a lot of details about the case. I've heard, pros and cons about it. That he was shot, but somebody else helped him, and something about a 17-minute time frame or something that he couldn't have got everything all cleaned up and done in 17 minutes, what the defense was going with. And the prosecutors was saying, well, that's because he had somebody helping. I don't know. And then they come with all this stuff about money that he had frauded his associates out of and stuff, $1 million. So I was kind of confused exactly.
Right. I'm really surprised that the judge allowed that evidence in. And I think what's going to happen is I think his lawyers will file an appeal, which they probably already have. And I think they're going to appeal on the basis that the other evidence, the evidence of the financial stuff, that was allowed in. Because as far as I know, he has not been tried or convicted yet for any of those crimes.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder how it could even be introduced as evidence. And then it also makes me wonder why it was allowed in when clearly, if he hasn't been convicted, right,
Right.
then it's a whole different. I mean, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Right.
So how is it?
Supposed to be.
So how is it that all of that evidence was allowed in? I think that's going to be the basis for a very strong appeal, and I think that he will win an appeal for a new trial. And then I think at that point he'll probably be found not guilty.
Do you really?
Yep.
You know, I do know that I remember his attorney asking for what was it? For him to be able to remain out and for a mistrial because of a jury, something about a juror or something that had to
Yeah,
be dismissed.
they had to get rid of one of the jurors who some people, I don't know, I don't have any good info on it, but just what I saw from a couple of people, that one lawyer that I really like who does videos about the trial, that it sounds like one of the jurors was actually very much going to vote not guilty and going to be the holdout juror. And they got that person off of the jury somehow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought that the information, I thought his lawyer had something to do with bringing all that out about all the stealing and stuff. I thought he was the one that let that cat out of the bag, and I thought the prosecution just ran with it. That's where they really got to looking into it. That's the way I had understood it. I didn't know that he'd never, even though he'd never been found guilty of anything, I thought that basically he had admitted doing it in the past or something.
Right, and he sat right on the stand and said, "Oh yeah, I stole a lot of money from a lot of people." Well, on what planet does that make sense that you put a criminal defendant up on the stand to sit there and say, "Yeah, I stole a lot of money from a lot of people"?
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes
that
no
judge said that he had sat there and had listened to overwhelming evidence for weeks of his guilt. So I don't know if he wins, it's going to have to be from another judge. I don't think that judge is going to be very sympathetic. You know.
Well, it would be from a higher court if they win an appeal.
Yeah,
Well,
it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah.
I don't think he did it.
You don't?
Nope.
What do you think happened?
I think that there was a case years before where a young man was found dead in the middle of the road. And evidently through the years, people in the area thought that his son and his son's friends were the people responsible for the young man who was found dead in the middle of the road. And evidently he was either gay or he was transgender or something. I think he was gay, a teenager. And nobody was ever prosecuted at all. And then
is it Stephen Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, your mom knows about that. Yeah.
Yes. And then after that happened, I don't know how much after, but a couple years ago or whatever, there was that boating accident.
Yeah.
And
that where the girl, they found the girl a week later or something.
Right. Her poor parents had to go through that entire week like that, until they found her body. But
yeah,
I think the locals were disgusted because I think they figured that guy was getting away with everything, that kid. And I think that he was murdered from retaliation to whoever was angry that he was never caught with that previous case.
Well, you probably know a lot. I don't know much about this case. Like I said, I just watched the documentary and I watched the where they found him guilty and then the judge sentencing. And I just had heard, different things in the documentary that was done, but I never studied this case. I'm too much in the Aaron Carter thing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know that actually they've not closed that case now? There's an article that come out, and they are opening that, looking into a possibility that he was actually murdered. So that's going to get interesting.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
Because his mom was very persistent, and somebody exposed pictures of the things that was around in a bathroom and stuff. The mom did on Facebook, and man, nothing adds up about that case. It's just, I just hope it isn't another one of these cases that we don't end up getting an answer to, like, another few other cases we've looked at, right? Like the Watts case, because I don't think the bottom of that's ever come to.
Oh, I put up a video on Patreon on the Watts case, and I simply I put the picture. When was that? Was that April 22nd or February 22nd? That pregnant looking picture?
April.
Okay.
April.
Because I said,
wait a minute. Was it April or July? Because she went to New Orleans about 5 weeks later after that.
I think it was February 22nd then.
Okay.
Or I don't know. It might have been April 22nd. Either way. Because, I think it was April 22nd, because remember we said that when she went to North Carolina, that might have been like her 6-week delivery time.
Oh, you're talking about not the pregnancy picture that we found in.
The one with her in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Was that April 22nd? Or February 22nd?
I thought it was more like, no, it was a month before she went to New Orleans, whenever she made that trip to New Orleans.
Was it a month before she went to North Carolina?
It was 5 weeks before she went to New Orleans. Yeah.
Weird. Okay. I couldn't remember. So I did this video, and you know how I do my videos? I just click on the microphone and I just start talking, right?
Yeah.
And so I started this thing right from the beginning of the case for people who maybe don't know the case at all, or for people who don't know how many times we've been lied to about this case.
Yeah.
And so, the first one I'm talking about how she was so offensive to his friends, how she quit her job 3 weeks after they started dating, how I don't think she had lupus, stuff like that. And this one, I started talking, I was just going to kind of pick up where I left off, right? And then I'm like, why have we been lied to so much? And you know what? Cindy Watts told me that when she met her, that she was super heavy, and that she would get thin and she would get super heavy again. She'd get thin. So then I took off on the tangent about just how many pregnancies did she have. And is it possible she was pregnant when they met? Is that why she quit her job?
I think so. I've always thought that.
So the entire video was about just how many pregnancies did she have.
Yeah. Because that set of twins, a lot of people pointed out a set of twins that was born, and the first thing her mom came out and said was, no, that was a niece of hers that had the twins. Not her. Yeah.
And remember too that I dug in and I found that thing that she was filling out to try to win something from Hallmark, some contest.
Yeah.
And she posted a thing for herself, and then the very next post was anonymous, a woman in North Carolina who had 2 grandchildren in Colorado, and this is before she had Bella, and how she wants to read stories or whatever to her 2 grandchildren in Colorado. I thought, well, that's interesting that somebody just so happened to enter that contest entry, and right at the same time that she entered her contest entry.
It's like Tennyson said, remember when Bella said, again?
Exactly.
I'm telling you, I think that little girl was talking. I
do too. I think you're right. I think that, unfortunately, I think she was talking about even worse things than that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a really good point though, Tennyson, because if Cece was the only pregnancy in Bella's lifetime, Bella wouldn't have had any reason to say again, because she was just a baby wasn't she 10 months old when
She was
she got
10 months old when she got pregnant with Cece. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there's no way that she would have known of
Yeah.
another one, right?
She wouldn't even understood it really at that age, you know. In my opinion, she wouldn't have anyway.
She wouldn't have. So
Yeah.
that means there were other pregnancies going on, or else why would she have said again? You know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. So who do you think killed their housekeeper on that Murdaugh? Who do you think, how do you think the housekeeper, how do you think she got killed or what happened to her?
Well, that young man who got killed, the son, Paul,
Yeah.
or as they call him, Pawpaw,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a possibility. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a possibility that he was a lot more wild than what we've heard. And if so, I mean, if he was in any way connected to that murder, if it was a murder of that young man,
Mm-hmm.
if he had that kind of a temper, and I did hear also that he had hit his girlfriend the night of the boating accident.
Mm-hmm.
That he and his girlfriend were fighting and he hit her. If he had that bad of a temperament, then I would dare say he probably took a swing at the housekeeper.
Wow. That's interesting.
Sure is.
And Sue T in here, she's saying, do you know why Bella was named Bella Marie? No, I don't know really. I know that Cece was Celeste Catherine. I know that Shanann's middle name was Catherine, I believe, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Cece's middle name was after that, but I don't know either, but I can look it up, Sue T. I think I don't know. My hunch would be that it was probably after like a great grandparent or something.
Yeah, I know Celeste was. Celeste was after her grandmother, wasn't it? If I remember.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's true, Sue. Bella Marie Watts, BMW.
Oh.
That's probably what it was. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably what it was.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me a bit. Yeah. I just yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of cases out here that just aren't making any sense at all to people, you know, and things that are coming out, you know, things I didn't even know, you know, about. And like with this Murdaugh case, I didn't know that much about it. So I've heard a lot of pros and cons on everything on it in the last few days, you know, since it's been going down. And, you know, just listen to people that, I don't know, we're talking about it on YouTube and stuff. But as far as me, I never really got into that case. I didn't.
I think if you consider how many times we've been lied to about the case of Christopher Watts,
mm-hmm.
and then think about the family in South Carolina who had multi-gazillions of dollars and, you know, they were in the power seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a good chance that the son who was murdered, I think there's a really good chance that he did a lot of terrible things. Really terrible things, you know?
I suppose anything's possible, but getting the proof out there, what then?
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good point, Meeser Mom. They gave him a different name for when he was so drunk because he had a whole different personality going on.
Is he the one that was intoxicated driving the boat that
Yes.
girl was killed?
Yes.
Okay.
And they were all begging him to please stop it because they were afraid. And they wanted somebody else to drive the boat. And he was yelling at him. And again, that's why I heard on that one channel with that lawyer that he actually was hitting his girlfriend that night.
Yeah.
I'll tell you at the same time, what are those kids doing out in the boat at 2 a.m.?
I don't know. I have no idea about that.
And he's running around with his brother's ID to buy all the booze and to go into the bars and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there's something wrong with that picture. So his brother didn't have his ID on him, or did he, you know, have a couple extra IDs that is, you know?
Or did he have fake IDs or what? I don't know.
And, you know, the the boat itself, okay, where were the parents? I mean, that Alex Murdaugh and his wife, they knew their son was a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
Where were they when he had a boat full of kids, you know?
Yeah. Well, critical thinking said he reportedly spit in her face and then slapped her, the
Wow.
girlfriend. Mhm. Yeah, I had heard something about that.
Wow. So,
Well,
I think it's possible that somebody in the area was fed up with the fact that it seemed to them he was able to get away with hurting people, you know?
hmm you mean like another lady's brother that was, same thing, with the girlfriend's child. Yeah, they try to keep that, say, no, that wasn't true, but it's public information,
And if
and
you think about how much we were lied to,
oh,
just
yeah.
imagine just imagine how much money the Murdaugh family had and how much power and control and influence.
Yeah. For
You
some
know?
reason, though, the other family's getting awfully quiet. You know, I think people have really called them out on stuff, and I think it's about their money days have come to an end. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how they're going to make money, but it's not going to be from people off of YouTube and being
Yeah,
sympathetic.
there's probably a shelf life to e-begging.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, yeah. No doubt about that.
Okay. Somebody needs a butt rub. Here we go. I love that name. I mean,
Okay.
it's cute.
hmm
Papa had major mental health and behavioral issues. Mother never bonded with him as a baby. Add narcissism and entitlement, and you get a recipe for disaster. Interesting. And maybe the whole thing with him going on trial and everything, I don't know. I don't know what kind of deals are made, but maybe he's kind of right up front and center and hopping right up on the stand saying that he stole millions of dollars.
mm
Maybe he's doing that in a way to try to keep all the secrets about his son secret, you know?
Parents sometimes do a lot of stuff to protect what their kids have done. Especially those that have been treated like they were always privileged, right?
Well,
Yeah.
and think about this too. You look at how Christopher Watts is sitting behind bars and acting like he's happier than he's been in a long time.
hmm
Maybe this guy, seriously, maybe he knows dang well that he didn't do anything, but he basically threw, just imagine all those financial crimes. Just imagine how many people are protected now that he's going to prison for life, because they'll probably just backpedal on prosecuting for all those financial crimes now, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get interesting. Um,
And
so
that's a
he's,
good point. How do we know that Papa wasn't behind the whole financial thing too, right?
mhm.
And does anyone really believe that Alex Murdaugh was eating $50,000 worth of pills a week?
Are you
Like, I don't
serious?
believe
Ooh.
that. I don't believe it, and I don't even know for sure if I think he was necessarily, was Papa some sort of a druggie? I don't know.
Mm.
I have no
How
idea.
using pills that many pills in what period of time? 50,000 in what period of
I
time?
think they said it was 50,000 in a week.
Oh my gosh. How could you even survive?
You wouldn't be able to, and I just don't. I just don't see it. I don't know.
Mm.
You know, if you look at those videos and stuff, and like the pictures of them and everything,
hmm
and everyone's always, oh, they're such a great, such a close knit, wonderful family. Well, maybe they weren't. Maybe they had
hmm
a runaway son, a troublesome, like Miss Buttrub
hmm
said. If he had major mental health issues, maybe they cared more about keeping their status or keeping their, covering it up at all costs And maybe that's what was happening. Maybe he was really destroying the family from within.
She said the whole family was effed up, basically, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there's some other cases and some other families that seem to be that way too, mentally the same, you know. Lots of strange things, you know, in families that occurred. Not just, I've seen it in several cases, actually.
If Murdaugh ends up in the Dodge Correctional Facility, then we'll know we're on to something.
My God, I never thought about that. Where did that trial, the trial was it in South Carolina? Or where?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was South Carolina. I think that now that he's going to prison for life, I think they're going to just say, oh, you know, there's no sense to go through the financial stuff. So we'll just, you know, he's already going to prison for life, so we're not going to worry about the financial stuff. Ooh, that's a good idea. They could do Bible studies together.
I don't know. Maybe the guy over in Australia will help him. I don't know.
I don't think he's into the Bible, though.
No. No, he's made that perfectly clear several times.
So yeah, when I did that video for the Chris Watts case, I laughed at myself because I did not intend to go down that road when I started talking on the tape. I was just like, okay, we're back in the beginning, blah, blah, blah. And then it just, like, it's so obvious. The way Cindy Watts said that she was so big, and then she would go back to normal, and then she was so big, and then go back to normal, right? Like, it's so obvious. It's right there.
Yeah. Well, and the fact of what N.A. said, that she want to play date with her other two daughters.
Yep.
Yeah. That's always stuck in my mind. Always.
And why would she have quit her job after meeting him? I think he was like rescuing her from some terrible occupation.
I think he was probably fed a line of crap. And I think he maybe realized it after Bella was born and stuff, and Cece just happened to come along. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot more to it than if he'll ever tell the truth, you know. It's up to him.
I think he was going to be leaving her already when Bella was a baby.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she got pregnant with Cece.
Could very well be.
I think
the reason why she come up pregnant this third time too, right? Try to keep him there.
I think that there were people in his ear saying, well, you can't divorce her. You can't divorce her.
Yeah. I'm sure of that too. What about the kids? You know, what about this? What I could just hear it now in the back of their, what they were being told. Yeah.
And then he has a mother who saw through the BS right from the start, and he's probably not quick to call up his mom and say, Mom, you were right, you know?
Right.
Critical thinking will go ahead and prosecute the financial stuff because of the possibility of the murder case being overturned. I kind of wonder if maybe the deal, if the basic or the basis for any, you know, possibility of a deal would have been to be able to keep the financial stuff secret. Because just think about the money, how he had such easy access to it, and how the bank even kept loaning him money and stuff. I bet there are a lot of people who were going along with it.
Well, what did he put up for collateral with the bank, or did he have to put anything up his collateral?
No. And the other part of it is too, are they even looking for his drug dealer? Are they looking to press charges again? I mean, if he's paying tens of thousands of dollars a week in drugs, then that's a pretty hefty, you know, paying customer, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a few states now that are wanting to, especially on this fentanyl stuff that's going around there, and being put. If a dealer gets caught where they sold that to somebody and they've died, they're going to prosecute them for murder.
Well, if you think about it, the idea that somebody in his position was supposedly using that many drugs, I don't believe it. I think he was buying it for his son.
That is a lot of drugs. I mean, $50,000. That's even if they were buying them, off the streets. I don't care. That's a lot of drugs in a week.
Critical said
That's a
his
lot.
wife's property for collateral for some of the loans.
Mm.
Actually, it was property that was owned by both of them. And he said on the stand that she would sign whatever. It was no problem.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anita says he was running drugs. Oh my gosh. Who, the father or the son?
Oh gosh.
Do you think the son may have been? Or do you mean the father? Interesting. I don't know if that's the case, Critical. From what I heard, it sounds like she didn't work, and it sounds
Yeah.
like her sister married a much wealthier person than who she married.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, her sister evidently was married to somebody who was much, much wealthier. I don't know. The picture they keep floating around, she's wearing her, mink coat. It's like, oh, please. South Carolina, you definitely need a mink coat for those cold winters. I'm joking.
Yeah, I've seen that picture of her in that mink coat. She was quite a bit younger than him too, right?
Was she? I don't think so. I think they met in college.
Oh, I thought she was like 10 years younger than him or something.
No, nope,
No.
nope. They were college sweethearts.
Well, how long ago did this happen? Because she was 54 when she died. And he's 64 now. That's why I'm thinking she was.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then how could they have been college sweethearts? Because
Well,
it didn't happen that long ago, wasn't it? Just a couple years ago.
yeah. I mean, maybe he was ahead of her in college or something. You know? I don't know.
Well, you always do that. You always ask just the right question, and then we dig in and go, wait a minute.
Well, I know it said she died at 50, she was 54, and they said he's 64 now. And even if he got it's 30 years to life, that he would never get out of prison, whether he got 30 years or life.
Right.
Yeah. So that's 10 years difference in their age right there.
Does anyone know when it happened? How maybe it was longer ago than we know.
I don't know when it happened. I thought it was it 2019 or I don't know. Now I'm going to have to research this so I know what I'm getting into.
I was going to, but if I do, then I might my thingy might turn weird. The sound.
Yeah.
Okay, Critical says just pulled this from a report. Maggie was the sole owner. Really.
Mm-hmm.
And a joint owner of the family's beach house. June 7th, 2021. So just a couple years, not even 2 years ago. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Critical. Oh, Mary says 2019. So I don't know. Are we being told that they were college sweethearts, but really there's something strange going on that they just want to pretend away or something?
Well, unless maybe she was taking, like I said, maybe he was ahead or something of her in college. I don't know. I know of people that have met people in college. Well, I know some people at church that he was 7 years ahead of her and they met in college. So What do you think? Are you looking for it?
Yeah, no, I just took a bite.
Oh,
So I muted. Andy says Alex is 54.
he's 54?
So he would have just been a couple years older then.
Mm.
Exactly. The Watts case has definitely shown everybody that we can be lied to on these cases for sure. We should do a marathon and keep listing off every lie. I bet you would be here like for 3 days straight. Mary just watched it on Netflix. Hi, Jennifer. Critical says after the boating accident, assets were transferred, and most believe it was to shield the assets. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to have to check that again because I could have swore yesterday they said he was 64 years old yesterday.
Well, if he's 54 now, then he would be just a couple years older than her because it happened a couple years ago, and that makes more sense.
Yeah.
If they were college sweethearts. But yeah, evidently her sister married a lot bigger money than she did. So
Did you see that thing I sent you about Madeleine McCann?
what?
About what? Did you see that thing that I sent you? I messaged you here a few days ago about Madeleine McCann, not about that girl that's trying to say she's her, but that I had seen where it was reported that her mother drugged the kids at night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious.
Yeah, they did.
So this is the thing that puzzles me. The twins were asleep there too. Why did she leave the twins in the same room the daughter disappeared out of to go tell them that she was missing? Did you leave your other kids behind if somebody took one of your kids to go get somebody to tell them your child's missing? I don't
Well,
get that at all.
yeah, she probably, I don't know. I think the whole thing is just, I mean, her mother and father were both doctors, and they thought it was okay to give them something to sleep with. Really? What is that? The new, is that where Christopher Watt's wife got the idea, was from watching that case?
I don't know. Maybe what about that one? What about that other case at that same hospital with that other uh, little girl?
Little Olivia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because what the Lindstrom said, and I believe totally them. I think that they were the most honest people of everybody. They said that every time she seen an illness or something somebody else had, she mysteriously come down with it in a few days or a week or two.
Yeah.
The same thing. So
think about it. We're back at the same topic, really, because let's all pretend that Christopher Watt's wife wasn't totally a loop job, right? And then look at the Murdaugh case. Okay,
yeah.
how bad was that kid? What did he do? How bad were the things that he did?
Yeah, right.
So instead of getting the help they need, instead of facing the facts, instead of admitting, you know, Jennifer said she read a book, but I didn't see what it was. Something about the perfect husband or something. What case was that? Don't tell me Betty Broderick.
Oh,
That one could be titled The Least Perfect Husband.
yeah, I wasn't a bit surprised when they found out. And I think she should have been let out the minute they found out that he'd had a contract put out on her. I think that should have been over with. He was right about him. I mean, I never seen, he was disgusting in my book.
I think that they definitely should have let that be admitted into evidence at the trial, because if I was on that jury, I'd want to know that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, well, there's been so many cases that people have been lied to and things that weren't that jurors should have known, and they didn't know. And they come back later and say, if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have decided the way I did. I've heard several people say that. That's been on juries. And it makes you wonder how fair of a trial that person really got. You know?
I know it's always very concerning when you hear things, but it's just like the Scott Peterson case too.
Yeah.
When you hear about all the people who are saying they saw Lacey later that morning after he went to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how could he have been the one to kill her then?
Well, I can actually tell you that it was brought out, the mail carrier, when they was looking through the evidence and stuff, some of the sheets of paper that were, however they scan them or print them off, they had stuck together. His testimony that he had given, or his statement, had never been heard, had never been put out there. That when he delivered a package that day and he scanned it, okay, because he left it there. He said he thought something was off because that dog always barked at him, and the dog was always put up, and the gate was open, and the dog wasn't there. But that didn't even come out for a few years. There's boxes and boxes, they say, of evidence on this case. So I think it'd be interesting to be looked into. But he got denied another trial, didn't he?
Well, and he was guilty of sleeping around on his wife, so nobody cares, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's really too bad.
Well, I don't know, but I've heard people say that she was a little controlling. That knew her? I don't know.
Well, if he was a serial cheater and she was a hardworking girl, she's probably going to come across as a little bit controlling.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's possible that she might have confronted those people that broke into the house across the street and was going to call the police, and I think they grabbed her. Strong possibility, because there's a lady that drove by and said that in the back of the van there was a lady squatted down like she was peeing, and that she was put in the back. And remember, she had the clothes on that she had on that day.
And there were other pregnant women too that were
yes,
and murdered, right?
And another lady that had a dress shop. The 3 guys showed up at her dress shop, and she knew that she had been being followed by them. So when they pulled up, she locked everything up and went in the back and called the police. By the time the police got there, they were gone. And she was 7.5 months pregnant with a baby boy.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm. And there were 7 women, and 4 of them was from that area that had disappeared, and they were all pregnant and never been found. And then the one that had been found in that same area where Lacey was found, they never found her baby, but they found her torso. And that's weird, isn't it? That's just a little bit too much of coincidental stuff going on to suit me.
That's a very dangerous series of events there.
Mm-hmm.
And evidently they didn't want all that news hitting the headlines,
Yeah, and the thing about it with him in that boat too, they did that demonstration that he couldn't have stood up and even put a body over with cement bricks and stuff because of her body weight and everything. Those boats tip over. Then where she was found, it wasn't even the area that he was fishing in. It was on the total different side of that area. Totally different side where her body was found. And I keep going back to what that one coroner said, that in his opinion, that baby was alive a few days longer than the mother. And he was a mile down further than where she was. That he was just in a little bit too good a shape to have been out there as long as his mother. So that's kind of odd, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, could it be that the baby was still alive in her body and survived her by a couple days?
Or did somebody take the baby?
Right.
And decided they was going to get caught? I don't know. I think it seems odd that a lot of pregnant women around 7 and 8 months were disappearing.
That's frightening.
Yeah. And none of them have been found. None of the 7 women have been found.
That is frightening.
Mm-hmm. This is stuff that group of women that was looking into this was searching that along with his sister. And let me see. Is it his mother died, right? If I remember right.
Yeah, she died.
Yeah. And she never believed that he did that. And neither did his dad. You know, his dad always stood up for him. But
I
there's a
remember
lot of
his
things in
mom,
that time when he was at the office now that could be proved that's very questionable.
I remember his mom and dad being ridiculed and yelled at and everything by all those people protesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they were interviewed one time, and the dad said something like he cheated on his wife. Men do it every day, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they got so ridiculed for making that comment.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a guest in the chat that says that CW did it.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Tennyson said Connor was found above the high tide water line, too. That's true. I do remember that.
What? He was found above the water line?
Yes.
So
I'm telling you, I think he was put out there and he died.
So he
Because
might,
that coroner said he was a further developed baby than what he should have been, and he was in too good a shape when he was found.
so he was in perfect shape then?
That's what they claim. I was shocked when I went back and listened to all this stuff, and they showed all this. And there were several pieces of paper on the stuff that was scanned on 200 pages, and there was like 36 pages that stuck together. And that's why that mail carrier's report never was seen, because it was stuck under to another. When it was scanned, it stuck to the other one. It never come out right. And they didn't find it for 2 years.
You know, people who are defending the Darlie Routier thing, they say the same thing, that there were a lot of leads that weren't followed and stuff. I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but I'd seen interviews with the neighbors and stuff that said that they know for a fact that he was out there in a car with her sister right in front of the house, and they were kissing and making out. Oh, I don't know.
I know the neighbor across the street said that she saw Darlie throwing those stuffed animals after the murders, tossing them to Darren, and they were laughing, and she was cheering and everything. And
and also there was I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but while I'm thinking about it with Connor, he had a piece of tape holding his ear back too, duct tape holding his ear back.
That's weird.
And he had some netting around his neck.
Well, they said that wasn't Darlie jumping up and down, that it was actually her sister. And the neighbor said, no, she was my neighbor for a lot of years. I know when it's Darlie, and I know when it's her sister, and it was Darlie. Because they were trying to act like Darlie wasn't jumping up and down and clapping her hands.
Yeah. I agree with what Samantha's saying. You don't have to, get it, but you can form an unbiased opinion. You can't really form an unbiased opinion without doing your own research on these cases. You just can't. You really have to research them. And you have to sit and figure out what makes sense and what doesn't, and what's logical and what isn't. And it's just like I've said with this Carter case. You've got Fox News reporting the firefighters were called out for a rescue call, that the neighbors that built a patio upstairs overseeing the pool said that he was in the pool. Then you've got him saying he was in the bathtub, okay, but there's no water in his lungs, okay?
Yep.
And now there's other stuff coming out, and they showed the picture that his mom put on there with the tub. He had one of those green Grinch, for Christmas jackets that he got at Walmart's. And that water was exactly the color. You know how some colors like greens and reds and blues fade? It almost looked identical. But that jacket was wringing wet, but yet articles of his clothing are missing.
Well, think about this. In mid-August of 2018, we were told that 2 little girls were murdered in their own bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And that was August, September, October, November, December, January.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of February, Set the Record Straight put out so many good videos, pretty much laying out what probably happened, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it was that toilet video, leaning over the toilet.
That's what sealed the deal for me.
And then all of a sudden, a team of investigators is somehow allowed to go to a prison on the taxpayer's dime, of course, long after the conviction, to go chat with the convicted murderer.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the crime scene changed from inside their bedrooms to out at the job site.
Right.
With him acting like he didn't have a clue what the heck he was saying.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you can change a crime scene that many months after, I mean, anything's possible with some of the cases we've been looking at, because all you have to do is just dig in a little bit and you go, now wait just a minute, what about this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jennifer Cole says, proof is proof.
Mm-hmm. Samantha said, and what proof is that seals it for you, Jennifer Cole? She says, bye.
And facts are facts, Jennifer.
Right. Yeah. They
Yeah,
always, a few
when
of them
the
got
case
to
first
straggle
happened,
in. Yeah.
when the case first happened, we were told the fact that Christopher Watt's wife was a retired nurse.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. They went with that for a long time, you know. But have you ever heard anybody explain, and anybody, all that was involved, why did her mom ask NA to check the knives? Would you,
Yeah.
somebody, have you ever seen that anyplace? I haven't.
Exactly. I mean, that's a really huge and troubling issue that not only does it appear that law enforcement never followed up on it, but in nearly 5 years,
Right.
all of these channels who are hopping around, you know, trying to act like they care, they just pretend that little comment away.
Yeah, and if you say anything to where you try to explain where you don't think that CW did anything, then you're considered a CW lover, you know.
Right.
And that's not it at all for me. I don't care if he never gets out. That's entirely up to him.
Well, personally, I think there are only 2 people who are putting those types of comments out there.
Yeah.
Or telling other people to say those things. And I think you know who I mean, because it's definitely interesting that the text message that I received from North Carolina threatening me has a lot of the same wording that we've seen over the last 5 years. Anytime somebody is using, you know, the scripted BS comment.
Yeah, and I didn't know that a certain creator that's come out with a lot of stuff and is working with one side of the family. I didn't know that he'd been involved on this case for over 4 years. He hasn't even been on YouTube for over 4 years.
4 years? He just hopped on a couple years ago.
Yeah, but I've seen people saying, oh, you got to, I thank him because he spent years looking into this case. No, he didn't spend years looking into this case. He hasn't been on YouTube but 2 years, I think, in December.
Yeah, 2 years, the end of December.
Yeah, so, nah.
No. Well, all you have to do is listen to the channel and you'll see.
And it's like that girl says in here, she thinks NK did it. Nah, that was debunked a long time ago.
Yeah, that was debunked a long time ago.
And I know all these people that they keep trying to say the people he worked with and stuff, they were involved in stuff. Those people aren't going to risk going to prison the rest of their life to do anything to help CW. Doesn't even make sense. And what did he have to offer NK? What did he have to offer her? Nothing. He was flat busted. He didn't even own a vehicle. He didn't have any money. He's losing his house. I mean, really? He had nothing to offer her. Nothing.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but when a certain profile in our chat right now, when they first started posting, the very first thing was your, as in your, YOUR. So pretty much.
And like she's saying right now, NK was there. Well, proof she was there to me because I've seen proof that she wasn't. And I don't want to hear about the stupid ping either. That's been debunked too. You know, gee, I've been studying this case for almost 5 years. And I've been on both sides. I was on the other side, the Rusick side on this. I thought the same thing. I thought he did this and all this until I got to finding out all the stuff that was being lied to about. I've been on both sides of this, and I have not gone back since all this come out. In over 4 years, 4.5 years, I've not even thought about anything other than exactly what I think.
That's because Sorry Mama saw the light.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a good go-to, Jennifer. That's a really good go-to. We haven't heard that before.
Mm-hmm. Now we're crazy. Yeah, we've been called that too. I've been called an old hag and a witch and a lot of things. So
I think it's interesting though, because we can track some of the numbers and we can track who's taking part, who's observing. And I think it's really interesting how low the number is of the fake profiles.
Yes. You know, and I never go into I don't go into other creators' channels. I don't go in there and bother them. It's just like, look what's happened to Natasha, what she's going through. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely sickening.
Yep, it sure is. She sure is putting out a lot of interesting stuff, isn't she?
Oh, definitely she is.
That school sounds like some kind of torture place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, you know, she didn't do that until they went real life on her. And when you go real life and you got people in it getting threatened, your grandkids, you get people threatening your children and causing CPS to be out there on you and swatting you and animal abuse and stuff. Yeah, you get kind of fed up with that stuff real quick. Absolutely.
Oh, Jennifer said that Nikki was there, but we don't know for sure which Nikki she means.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer says she won't bully anyone, even though she likes to call people names and say that, yeah, okay, Jennifer. Yeah, you don't bully anyone.
I've seen that picture that's on that profile, too. Looks like from somebody over in another channel. Yeah. Whatever.
Well, it's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad
that they feel it.
Yeah, that they're
necessary to do that, you know.
Spending their energy, acting like they're big, bad, and tough, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Well, she said she's sorry that she said we were crazy. Okay. Yeah, we just discussed that. It's like Sarah says, we're just discussing now that nobody's forced to stay here and even believe what we're saying or anything else. But I've done a lot of research. I have 3 more years on most people on this, and I've gone deep, and so is Em. We've gone dive deep into this. So,
well, I don't know. You show up at someone's channel and you start calling them stupid and telling them they don't know anything and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously they're an actual person wanting to discuss something, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. They always go back to NK, always. And I just don't feel like law enforcement will allow her to be out running all over if they thought for 1 minute she'd done anything to those kids or her or anybody else. And it doesn't make any sense why she would even jeopardize her freedom. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. But it's interesting to see that they're still hanging on to that. A lot of people are. I know I haven't looked in on Armchair's channel for a while, but I know the last time I was over there a few weeks ago, his sub count seemed to be down quite a bit. So I don't know. I don't know if he's still talking about it or not. Do you? I don't even know if he's still looking into it anymore.
Well, I think, no, I didn't block her. I think that they buy so many, like hundreds or thousands or whatever at a time, and then they come up for renewal, and then I think they don't always renew them.
Yeah, I'd like to hear. I wish she'd come up here and tell us what she's uncovered that points in that direction. My mind's always open to new things. It just is. That's why I was on one side and I changed over 4 years ago because people were out bald-faced lying, just bald-faced lying. So
Jennifer says, Miss M, what do you think? What do I think about what, Jennifer? Here, I'll put the link in if you want to hop up, Jennifer.
I mean, I won't say anything. I just like to hear where you're at with this and why you're so convinced that she did and what you're basing that on. I'm just, like I said, I'm curious why people this long are still hanging on to this. Maybe they know something I don't know,
Cricket. Oh, here it is. Do you think Chris is alone? Okay, that question doesn't make sense to me, Jennifer.
I think she's implying, do you think CW did it alone? And
I don't think he did it at all.
I don't think you did it either at all, period.
And I don't think that the fling over the summer had anything to do with anything. I think the marriage was already over for a long
I think he knew about and was involved in some other stuff that would have got him in a lot of deep, serious trouble anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that he probably was of the belief that he could be prosecuted for things that he was aware of.
Yeah.
Jennifer says, then who did it? I think that Christopher Watt's wife had a very serious problem. I don't think she was supposed to be at the house. I think she was losing everything. And I think that she was going to make it impossible for Christopher Watts and the girls to move on with their lives. According to Cindy Watts, Christopher Watts' wife told him that he would never see the girls again and that she was going to make him pay for this.
So she also told Cindy that over her dead body would those kids ever step foot in her home again. So,
and
same.
And I think that she had a lot of serious problems going on. Not just the financial stuff.
No.
Because I don't really think she ever cared about the financial stuff. I think filing bankruptcy was part of her financial planning. But I think she had a lot of serious stuff going on with her.
Oh, yeah. I think she had some severe mental issues.
Severe.
And I think that people had been covering up for way too long.
Yep.
And I hold both families responsible for the girls not being here because, well, if it's like you have to, how was it Cindy said she walked on eggshells around her?
Yep.
And she even charged her. So, I mean, to me, that's pretty serious stuff there,
Exactly. I think the way Cindy described what happened the day that Christopher Watt's wife came charging toward her down the hallway, I really wish Cindy would have dialed 911 and she would have been admitted and maybe gotten some help. But here's the thing. I think she was already admitted many times in her life. So, I think if you have a situation where she's running around the world acting like she's some MLM success queen or whatever, I don't know.
And what about the different spelling? I mean, what about the different characters? What about Shanann and Shannon? What if they were different personalities behind those?
Right. And Nurse Nene and Veronica. Exactly. And Victoria, we're told. There's another one. Yeah. I think
but if you think about those things right there, I mean, What if one personality did something and the other personality come out and seen that and they couldn't live with what they did? Does anybody ever look into that? Because a lot of people have mental issues. I mean, there's a couple of cases there. I mean, right now, that one where that lady, she Googled how long it was going to take her husband to go pick something up the drugstore and dinner up. And he had quit his job to stay at home, to work out of the home because she was having issues. And she had a history of issues. She was a labor and delivery nurse, very well educated. But they kept saying that she had postpartum depression. But in the length of time, they're saying, well, she couldn't be responsible for what she did. Really? Well, she Googled how long it was going to take him to get back home. And she thought she strangled all three of her kids, and she jumped out of a window and she's paralyzed from her waist down now. And she's still been charged with murder because they all three died. Eventually, they all three died. And I'm just saying that there's cases out there where mental illness, people aren't watched. And when that door opportunity opens or they feel like everything's coming down on them, they walk through that door and that's it. Because
I wonder, too, if there was some sort of order in place saying that she wasn't supposed to be left alone with those kids.
Yeah.
You know, maybe, you know how we're talking about prosecutions coming for people who sell nasty drugs to people who die from them?
Yes.
Maybe there should be prosecutions for people who are supposed to be guarding children and supervising children to make sure they're safe from a lunatic parent.
And there was even a case in Australia of a guy, he went to buy a TV for the family. He got back home and she'd killed the kids and herself. But he knew she had issues.
Yeah, so gotta go get that television, I guess, right? I mean, I think that's what the case of Christopher Watts is really, to me, that's what is so frustrating is just the stuff that we've seen of what she posted online. To me, it looks like child abuse over and over and over again. And those were made probably on her best days when she probably had supervisors standing there guarding the kids, you know?
Right. I believe that. Yeah.
So if that was her best, what was her worst?
Well, and if those kids were drugged every night, put to bed at 6:30, she had hardly any time to be with those kids. And I don't think she was ever really allowed to be with them. But there wasn't much time for her to even, I mean, they get home at 4:30 or something. They're in bed by 6:30 on. I mean, you can't handle your kids for 2 hours without losing it. I mean,
and I don't even think she ever handled them, period, because I think it was all Christopher Watts, feeding them, bathing them, everything.
Well, and that's another thing. I think she couldn't be, like I said, the reason why I go to her not being able to be alone with those kids is because he wouldn't have had to take off work when the kids were sick. If she was able to take care of their kids, there wouldn't have been that many cameras in there. Why was there so many people that lived in and out of that home all the time?
Yeah, how many people moved right into, you know, what? So she could pretend that she had the assets to pay someone? No.
And has anyone ever seen her drive a car? I've seen her try that test drive that Tesla out in that thing, but I've seen her in cars, and I've even seen them come out in the driveway and say, have you got the keys? I don't have the keys. I'm just doing a video.
And here's another thing about all the lies too. Remember how we were told how they were living the high life and they had that, you know, expensive daycare and everything. And then we dug in and found out that expensive daycare offered subsidies for poor folk.
Yes.
I think that she was court ordered, I think, to not be around Bella and Cece without supervisors. And I think that right before the tragedy happened, I think she was about to lose her parental rights. I think her parental rights were about to be severed.
Yeah. Well, I'm almost 100% positive that when she was back in North Carolina, that there was an incident between her and her mother that ended up getting them both put in for watching. I think a horrible fight broke out. And that's just from what I'm learning.
After what Cindy Watts said, I think that her daughter-in-law probably was in for a few days. Miss
But it's also said that the mother was kind of beat up too. So, yeah. Just saying, that's kind of strange, you know, that. And they both went quiet. Everything went quiet during that 72-hour span there too. Yeah.
Here it is. I clicked on the wrong one. Miss Anita said, if you're plotting and pre-planning, then you know right from wrong. No excuses.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. I do not believe that Christopher Watt's wife, and I know you're referring to the one with that nurse, right, who was Googling how far away the drugstore was or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do not believe that Christopher Watt's wife was supposed to be at that house. I think that when her father chaperoned her from Colorado to North Carolina back, the end of June, I don't think she was supposed to come back. If you think about it, her own mother discusses how she was discussing with her whether or not she should be going back. And she asked her, do not go back, right? She asked her to not go back to Colorado. And supposedly Christopher Watt's wife answered something about how he had good insurance. Okay. So if that's up for discussion, whether or not she's going back, I think the initial plan was she was out of the house right then and there. And I think that Christopher Watts was about to gain full custody of both Bella and Cece at the point that I believe they were going to terminate his wife's life.
Well, you know what? The guy over in Australia has done agreed about that. He said that she was losing her parental rights. He's agreeing to that, but he won't go into the possibility she did anything. He won't go there. And said that she had issues. She was disturbed.
So it goes a step further, and it's what Miss Anita is saying. If you're plotting and pre-planning, I think that it's a well-known problem with people who do, I would say, stay under the radar as far as being able to, make their stupid videos and pretend like there's some MLM success, right?
Yeah.
I think that she was so angry while she was still in North Carolina. I think she was so angry that she plotted and started planning while she was still in North Carolina. I don't think she just suddenly flipped into a different personality and decided to do it, because while she was still in North Carolina, she threatened Cindy Watts that she would never see those girls again.
Yeah.
She threatened her that those children would never step foot in her house again. I think she planned on it, and I think she carried out her plan, and I don't think that she was supposed to be in the house. I don't think Christopher Watts thought she was going to be in the house. I think that she somehow got a ride there when she got back from whatever it was she was doing in Arizona, and that's a whole nother live chat. And I think that whoever took her there should have and should still be coming forward to admit it, because I think whoever took her there was absolutely told to not take her to the house. I think she snuck in. I think she did what she did. And then I think she did herself over the toilet.
You getting a phone call?
I'm just going to mute for a second, Star Mama.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Yeah. Well, I just can't go to others being involved there. Those many people, you wouldn't need that many people to be involved anyway. And those people aren't going to risk going to prison the rest of their life for something so crazy as this. It doesn't make sense to me that people would even attempt to get involved in something like that. And I know it's been said, that even the stuff that he got on the food bill, that $60 food bill, that they didn't actually eat there, that was actually carry out. And he picked it up, and it was for 4 people. Let me tell you something. Go look at the prices of that place. 4 people can't eat for $60. It's impossible. So
I'm back.
Okay, you have to.
Didn't they have salmon and a couple of beers?
Yeah. But now it's being said that it was takeout, and that's why nobody could remember seeing. There's no video of them being in that restaurant, because it was for 4 people, and that $60 food bill was covering the other people that was plotting with them. Bullshit. I just can't go there. Doesn't make sense. You know? Oh, and listen to this. King Fu Kendall said, "Hi guys, it's Big E. My account was hacked. Imagine that. You guys are top notch. Hi, Star Mama." Yeah, well, I don't know how top notch I am, but I just know that what makes sense and what doesn't. All I'm saying. Yeah.
Exactly, Tennyson. Whoever didn't realize that she was at risk to self-harm and possibly more were in denial. I agree completely. But here's a problem with that. I think people were getting paid to spend time with her
Mm-hmm.
and paid to supervise any time that the girls were around her.
Yeah.
So the idea that they wouldn't have known, I think probably not so much, because I think that they had to have known
Mm-hmm.
based on the fact that I think they were getting money for being around her. Quite
Mm-hmm.
frankly, I don't think anybody spent time with her unless they were getting paid. And yes, look at what Miss Anita said about the doll picture.
Mm-hmm.
That is so huge. That doll picture, I think
And it
definitely.
didn't come from his phone. It come from her phone. That's been proved.
Exactly. And I think that back to what I was saying about how I think it was planned ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was planned in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I think she knew the writing was on the wall because I think that there were social workers in North Carolina
Mm-hmm.
who found out she was pregnant, who added that to the report, who added many incidents to the report.
Yeah.
And I think she knew her days were numbered with trying to pull off her little Rachel Ray act, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Her little rice cooker was about to disappear, and I don't think she could handle it.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other thing that concerns me, if you listen to creators that are going with different things and stuff too, and some of them, like I said, and I try not to even go there with him and stuff, but the simple fact that he put out that that they even stole the shine like Shannon, you know, which they did, the ours did, and they had the ribbons and all that stuff, but it was from a nurse that died from cancer, and he said it was from a nurse that was murdered, and she was not murdered, she died from cancer.
Right, but I
And
don't think he's ever done his own research. I think he
and that's
just,
what I said when I made that statement. He needs to check
yeah.
whatever these top mods that he has that does these, because they don't get everything straight. They
Well,
just don't.
and keep in mind that as the case has, gone on and on and on,
Mm-hmm.
we just keep getting smarter about the case. And the ones who are just hanging out to try to make a quick buck or try to harass people or whatever, they're just
Mm-hmm.
getting dumber about the case. And so the divide is growing between those
Mm-hmm.
of us who actually research and know the case and those who don't have a clue what they're talking about.
Well, you know how everything started getting hot and heavy on us on the moving days theory, remember?
Yep.
Moving day. And then the cupcake, how that touched some sore
Oh,
spots.
the cupcake was it for everyone, man. Everyone flipped out about the cupcake, which tells us we were nailing it.
It's the same thing with this Aaron Carter case that my niece and I are looking into. I'm telling you, it's the same scenario. When you bring out things, they come in and come after you like you wouldn't believe about things. And do you know that his mother has the same thing that we've been talking about for the last 2 months about this? Has the very same opinions and the things that seems to point in the direction with the proof and the facts that it needs to be looked into. And finally, there was a thing yesterday that law enforcement is now going to look into this as a possible homicide. You see, you just can't give up when you find there's things that don't make sense. Don't give up on what you're looking at.
Right.
Somebody eventually will listen to you.
It makes sense. At first they say he died in the bathtub, then they say he was in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's that huge of a discrepancy, like, yeah, maybe there's something nefarious going on.
Yeah, and there was no water in his lungs either. So if he's in that pool or in that bathtub, somebody put him either place because he didn't get in there alive and not have water. Yeah.
Kind of like a bunch of true crimers talking about a case for, let's see, from August to September. So September, October, November, December, January. 6 months before they decide to send some investigators up to the prison to change the location of the incident. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Miss Anita made a really good point. He wasn't even around when that was uncovered.
Right.
The stuff he's talking about, Star Mama, he doesn't know. Like the whole MK thing, that MK thing was debunked so fast, so early, with no problem. And yet, what does he build his channel on? MK was there.
Well, and going back, like I said, when you go back, if you have somebody actually, even if he did go there, okay, fine and dandy. But the tower's pinging would be different now than maybe it was then. Because the way I understand, back then there was only one main tower. Now there's several. So you got to kind of...
No, the whole tower thing is ridiculous.
It is. But I mean, you can't do that, say, because you go there a few years later, and it pinged around this time. That doesn't prove anything. Prove to me that she was there. Give me some proof that that woman was there. I have to.
The whole tower thing, they're not dealing with experts at all. They're dealing with a bunch of BS. And the whole thing of even pointing a finger at MK, the point is that what Miss Anita said, he wasn't even around when all that was debunked. So to show up 3 years later, or 2.5 years or more later, and to act like he knows anything, like
right.
The stuff he talks about has already been debunked. So the people who actually know the case are just like, yawn, right?
Well, that's like with I'm going to say the AC case that we've been working on. My niece and I have been working. The thing about that is we told people from the very beginning, we were going in this backwards from the back, moving forward, because we had kids or grandkids that knew of the BSB, Backstreet Boys, and of AC, but we wasn't familiar with it. It wasn't our era of time. But it's still, you can look at all different cases that happened. My gosh, happened way back when it was a Lindbergh case. You keep going back and looking at things, and it makes you wonder, there's something wrong with some of these cases.
Yeah. Just like the Broderick case, for sure.
Yes.
Sarah made a really good point. Sarah Fan. Everyone was saying the Val picture showed CW was planning it all. Yet when it came out that SW took the picture, then all of a sudden, crickets. That's a really good point, because when they were going on and on and on about how CW was such a, manipulative psycho, whatever, that was ready to annihilate his entire family so he could go get some, doinking going on. When all that was being said, oh man, they smeared him. But then when it came out, when they showed the proof that it was actually SW who took the picture, not a word.
I know. And and like I said, that they're right there. And then the simple thing about check the knives, nobody will even go there and try to explain that.
Right.
And I don't understand why the police, why didn't they say, Mrs. R, can you please explain why you would ask NA to go check the knives? Why was you tell her to do such a thing? And NA, why was you saying she was on a play date with her other two daughters? What other two daughters?
Miss Anita, you know what? I really think that any of those other channels, I think they listen to Set the Record Straight. It's called Straight Up Blowing Mind. I think they listen to this channel. And then I think they basically try to stay as close to center as they can, because they're just trying to make whatever dollar they can make, but they don't have any content because they don't know the case.
And it's fine, if
you should see some of the emails that I've gotten actually from people who say to me in an email that they actually agree with everything we say on this channel, but they don't want to say that to their subscribers or they'll lose their subscribers.
Oh yeah, I've had people tell me that too. Oh, yeah. I can't go there. I agree with you. I can't go there. I don't want those the shiners and the truthers coming after me. That's what they told me. Yeah. So, well, whatever. I don't care. I'm not scared of anybody anymore.
That the shiners, or those people who try to call themselves the truthers, they're full of bull. They're just full of bull. They're noise. They're just noise.
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised. It's already an hour and 34 minutes, Star Mama. That surprises me. I feel like I just finished my dinner. Did you hear me chomping or no?
No, I didn't hear you.
Good. I tried to mute back and forth, but I was kind of worried that I might go back and, because that whole microphone thing. I wasn't sure if that was going to behave tonight or
You
not.
think this is bad? My niece has been going 6 hours on live. You got to be kidding.
Is she really on that whole AC case?
Yes.
Ugh. Man,
Yeah, but you'd be surprised at the stuff. But she has so much stuff to show. She doesn't just get up there and sit and talk. She shows videos. She shows things that have been written. She shows reports. She shows pictures. I mean, she has things detailed and even gone into what reports and even to what even the difference in the coroner's bans and all kinds of stuff. Yes.
I wouldn't want to deal with an open case like that, though. Is she new to true crime, or has she been doing true crime for a while?
She'd been in true crime, but it wasn't considered an open case till now. It was considered closed.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. They closed it up real quick because they went out on a wellness check on him earlier, and that's what happened. There is no. They said they went and knocked on his bedroom door, and supposedly he said he was okay and to leave, and that's what the housekeeper supposedly said. Here where I live, if you're sent out on a welfare check on somebody, they literally want to see you and they observe you and talk to you. They don't just take somebody's word on the other door, because you don't know who's on the other side of that door with that person.
So now that it's an open case, is your niece going to back off until they have their investigation, or no?
I think she's probably going to cut down a lot because this just come out. The only reason, she even pursued it really heavy is because the mother was asking people to please stand by her and please support her in this because, yes, she said, I knew my son had issues and stuff, but none of this makes sense. And, he was in a rehab thing, being outpatient, doing testing. He wanted to leave to go to Florida to his mother's earlier, and they wouldn't transfer this stuff. They said, no, you've got to stick it out. And he was due to be out of that like 5 days later. He'd been on his way. His house was up for sale. He was leaving. He didn't want to be there anymore.
Was he in rehab or no?
He was, what is it? Where you go in for where they, and it's outpatient treatment, and then you're tested all the time, and all his testing will come up fine. Yeah.
Okay, I found this song that we're gonna go, so I'm gonna say it really quick. Everyone.
Okay.
Hold on. There's an ad. Be safe. Be happy. Oh, another ad. You can choose to be happy. Don't forget to take your vitamin D. Don't forget to eat your salmon.
One of the most exciting moments of my entire career. One of the greatest entertainers I've ever known.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah, Mama.
Ladies and gentlemen, make him welcome. My good buddy, I recorded with him yesterday. Willie Dance! Making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Everybody say, on the road again. Like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends. It's just like the world keeps turning our way, and our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. best of friends. Still not the world keeps turning our way, and our way is on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again.